Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. Joined with Anthony and Chris. We're about to dive into some offensive line prospects for 2026. But before we do that, Anthony, it's been a week. It's good to see you. How are things in your draft world?
Draft world's good. Tech world's pretty terrible. I'm sure viewers will notice the alternate view angle here. But yeah, it's been the past 24 hours has been an ordeal to try to figure out my audio. But other than that, no, we're good. We're at the halfway point of the college season or close to it. So yeah, exciting times. Lots of interesting players to dive into today. I'm excited.
And Chris, it is good to see you on a Saturday. Thank you for filling in. How are you doing this morning?
Good. We just had this week a very busy lineup. We had Ernest joining the show, talking football, mostly Texas college football. Andrew Harbaugh stopped by on Thursday. We talked a lot about Tennessee Titans coaching search, what's going on with Mike McDaniel, and just teasing what to come. Maybe, dare I say, the Vikings start looking at quarterback if J.J. McCarthy really turns out to be a pumpkin, but it is Halloween season, so who the hell knows? But otherwise, looking forward to talking some lineman talk here with you and Anthony.
Yeah. So every Draft Professor podcast right now is doing a deep dive into the draft class. So Saturday mornings is offensive line hour. We're going to discuss these 9 offensive linemen. So Enrique Cruz Jr., and that should be from Kansas, not Syracuse. Corey Robinson from Arkansas. Tristan Leigh from Clemson. Markel Bell from Miami. Sam Heck from Kansas State. DJ Campbell from Texas. Armaj Reed Adams from Texas A&M. Parker Brailsford from Alabama. And Lance Hurd from Tennessee. So we're going to go all the way from probably one of these guys isn't even going to get drafted to maybe that guy goes in the first round. So we've got a rainbow of offensive line grades, I think is the right way to put it. And the first player we're going to talk about is Enrique Cruz Jr. from Kansas, formerly of Syracuse. Chris, what did you see from Enrique Cruz Jr.?
He started off the season very well, and I liked his – oh, can you hear me now?
No, you're good. It was just delayed. You're good. Go ahead.
He started off the season very well, I thought. He showed very good pass blocking, run blocking. He's experienced because he's played in the ACC and now the Big 12. And then I watched the Texas Tech game, and look, I get it. It's Romelio Height. It's David Bailey. I'm very high on David Bailey. He's my DE2, but he got exposed, I thought, in terms of he has trouble with speed rushers. Both those guys were able to sometimes beat him into the inside, beat him to the outside. And I get it. Look, they're a different breed than a lot of defensive ends. And the game started getting away from Kansas, during the Texas Tech game. So all of a sudden now you can pin the ears back on defensive ends. But to me, that's sort of the worry I have. He'll get drafted. He's a left tackle. He has experience. He has good size. It's just if you put that tape on of Texas Tech, I know it's one game, but it's usually like these are the type of pass rushes you'll see in the NFL. It's like, all right, he's probably a swing tackle. So I'm guessing he goes probably around 5, 6 because it's like, well, can he handle the speed, or is he going to be like Wanya Morris, where he'll do good against power guys, but once he gets speed, it's almost like good luck. You're flipping a coin.
And Anthony, what did you think of Enrique Cruz Jr. from Kansas?
Yeah, so I kind of a pretty similar take to Chris. This is somebody that I noticed in the early parts of the year, and I actually requested that we include in our offensive line list. This is somebody, to Chris's point, Spent 3 years at Syracuse. Was a starting left tackle for them in 2023, and then subsequently lost the job when Fran Brown took over as head coach there. Then he got the right tackle job at Kansas this season, but he sort of has kind of been splitting reps with another guy whose name is far too complicated for me to even attempt, so I'm not going to. But this is somebody, he's got high school basketball and wrestling background, so I think there is some natural athleticism that he brings, and some natural fluidity in his lower half that you like to see. Yes, the Texas Tech game was rough, to put it mildly. I think there's another player on this list that sort of got victimized in the past week or so. But it's tough to, like David Bailey and Romello Height, both NFL caliber pass rushers. I think David Bailey is potentially a first rounder. So, how do you quantify that with, otherwise a really solid season, I'd say, from Cruz so far. I think he looks natural and comfortable in pass sets. I don't think he's somebody that's going to like open up his chest a lot. I think he does well with hand placement, able to neutralize pass rushers when he gets a hand on them. Kind of what Chris was saying. Like, I think the issue was he just could not handle the pure speed and just skill of David Bailey and Romello Height. I do also think Cruz kind of just lacks that natural anchor that you would ideally want. But he's got the frame to, I think, potentially put some more mass on him. So that could help. I like him, again, kind of what Chris was saying, probably like a day 3 developmental, swing tackle. The experience at both sides is certainly valuable to NFL teams. So I like him as a guy that bring him in on day 3, let him be a rotational piece, potentially develops as a low end starter in a couple of years. But I think he's got enough talent to make it on a roster.
Okay, so couple questions. So it sounds to me like both of you said offensive tackle for Cruz.
Yeah.
Chris, was that a fair conclusion from what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. And then any questions on any of the measurements on Cruz? Like, do we think the arm length is going to be within NFL tackle thresholds? He's going to meet the measurable checkbox is kind of the question.
Yeah, he should. He's 6'6".
It'll be borderline. He's not going to be this guy who's like huge. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. I think he's got like the frame for it. Like I said, he probably puts on some mass at the next level, but I'm not overly concerned that arm length will need to force him inside.
Okay. So the next player, Corey Robinson from Arkansas. I know that Randall really liked him in summer scouting. So he's on the player list, but I haven't heard too much discussion on Corey Robinson since we came out of the summer. Anthony, what did you have on the Arkansas offensive tackle?
Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty similar problem with Corey Robinson that we just had with Cruz, where this past week Arkansas played Texas A&M, and prior to Texas A&M, Corey Robinson, I thought, put up really solid performances. Only credited before the Texas A&M game, only credited with 6 total pressures and 0 sacks the entire season, and that was going against Tennessee, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, like not lackluster competition by any means, relatively anyway. So, putting up a good year and then just ran into Texas A&M, and you would think it was Cassius Howell that did most of the damage, and he did, but it was also like he just looked so out of whack. Really found himself. I saw him lunging a lot, not leaning back and getting in a natural pass protector position. Getting out of in front of himself. Not being able to handle the natural bend that these guys at Texas A&M have, and allowing guys to just allowing edge rushers to just corner and be able to get around him relatively easily. Really, really struggled in that game. I would have probably said before that game, you're looking at a top 100 player potentially. Again, like very usually really solid in pass protection, has the size and length of a good offensive tackle. Run blocking was kind of the question for me coming into the year. And I think he's improved, but still kind of lacks that natural power and push that you want to see as a run blocker. He's not going to be this mauler kind of road grader kind of guy. But so we'll see how he rebounds after. As an example, like Caden Proctor had the terrible Florida State game week 1 and has certainly looked a lot better as the season's gone on. So if this is Robinson's one, hiccup of the year, it's a blemish, but I still think he could crack the top 100.
Chris, where are you on Corey Robinson from Arkansas right now?
Similar. I mean, look, he will go higher than I think both of us think he will because the NFL loves pass blocking left tackles. He's a big guy, but he's not too big. Like he's 6'6", listed at around 310, 305. So it's a guy you think, okay, he can put on weight. We're not worried about him gorging himself out of the NFL. I like his footwork when he was against bigger, stronger defensive ends. And, for the most part, he held his own against Tennessee. He held his own against Alabama and then Texas A&M, and it was a crap show. And I get it. Look, Cash is how we talk about it, a lot similar to David Bailey. These guys are speed. If they get an inch on you, they will just blow by. And I think after a while, it was starting to get into his head. But the run blocking, it's just, I think he has the power. He's just not a mean player. Like we're going to talk about Armaj Adams, who he is a guy who wants to just pancake the crap out of you. I don't get that from Robinson. That's sort of been, the thing at Georgia Tech where they weren't happy that he's not a mauler. He's not going to go out there and try to knock somebody's head off. He's more of a finesse tackle. Probably, I have him for like a 4th, 5th, but I'm guessing there'll be teams that just love the pass blocking, think, well, we can use them, because more with teams now sort of put a lot of heavy emphasis on the pass blocking. So he's on that borderline 175, 200. But I'm telling you, some team's going to look and get the pass block and go, we can fix the run block. I don't know how, but we're going to fix that. And he is just a guy that we can put in right away, not worry about weight issues, or we can hide him with maybe probably a running back or defense or tight end for the first year or two.
Okay. So I heard from both of you offensive tackle. Like we're not questioning tackle guard. We're saying Corey Robinson of Arkansas is a tackle, Anthony?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I don't think he would have the strength and the demeanor, if you will, to be a guy that you would rely on the interior to, again, especially in the run game. Like he's just not going to move people at the rate you would want. So yeah, you're taking him as a tackle. You're betting on him as a pass protector, and that he could develop enough as a run blocker.
Okay. And Chris, do you see any issues with measurements? Do you think he's going to hit the measurement checkbox for offensive tackles?
Yeah, I think he'll hit all the check marks. It's mostly just the mentality, which that's always going to be the tricky part. Like, all right, physically you fit the bill, just mentally, are you gonna be mean enough and nasty enough, and until they get the perfect tested trait to test that, I don't know how we're gonna figure that out right away.
Okay. So the next player, Tristan Leigh, the offensive tackle from Clemson. Chris, what did you have?
I had high hopes going into this season for him and a lot of Clemson players, and I'm still just baffled like how bad this team is. Let's talk about the positives. He has a size. He's 6'6", 315. He has incredible athleticism. Like he comes right off and he can just knock people back. He has a good initial punch. Good speed in terms of he can quickly, catch up to defenders. He can, set the wall in terms of blocking guys off. It's just the hand placement sometimes is inconsistent. He'll be open to counter moves. He tends to play high because, like a lot of these tackles, he's pretty tall. He'll lean into people more than use technique. And maybe this is about on Clemson, the coaching staff, because this can only make sense. Like he just hasn't gotten better, and you keep wondering, okay, but every year, like from year 2 to year 3 to now year 4, he'll get better. He'll clean this up, and it hasn't done that yet. He's too raw, especially for an ACC top tier tackle. It's like, God damn it, you're still doing some of the same mistakes you were doing last year. So, I mean, the technique needs work, especially in pass protection. But he's big, he's athletic, he's played in the ACC. He'll get drafted, but I'm looking around at 5th, 6th round because he still just needs a lot of work, and you're going to have to. He's a stash and develop player.
Anthony, what do you think of Tristan Leigh from Clemson?
Yeah, I think Tristan Leigh's problem is he hasn't been healthy. He got injured week 1 against LSU, suffered an ankle injury, missed the Troy game and Georgia Tech, and then came back, has played, and then missed SMU last week. And I'm not sure. They're on a bye this week, so I would expect that he comes back next week to get a little healthier. But I think medical has been his problem this season. Before that, you're talking about a former 5-star from a measurable standpoint, 6'5", 309, 34-inch arms. So, you probably would want him to be a little bigger as a left tackle, but you would work with that. That's a good enough frame to build on. I like I agree with Chris. I like his punch. I like his initial step. I do think he can be a decent run blocker. It does just kind of feel like he's, I don't know. I'm not sold on him as a lasting NFL player. Again, between the injuries, I don't think he's, as a pass protector, I don't think he handles speed well. I don't like his footwork. I'm not particularly high on him, and if he's not healthy, and he's going to struggle this season. I did read, I think he is still eligible for potentially a medical red shirt. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen. But I would maybe advise for him to try to get that and try to then, come back for one more year and risk being an older prospect so that he could finally just maybe put together a season that on paper from his resume he could have, but just hasn't had it yet at Clemson.
Okay. And Anthony, is your grade draftable right now or not?
No, at this point it's not. And part of that is just, I don't know what he is health-wise. If he comes back, I don't know who they play, but when he comes back next week after the bye, and can, put together some good performances, that can change. But I just hadn't seen enough from him tape-wise to then justify taking him if he's dealing with this ankle injury that just doesn't seem to go away.
Okay. So another large human, Markel Bell, the offensive tackle from Miami. Anthony, what did you see?
What I saw was a guy that took up the entire screen. That's what I saw. Yeah, man. I don't know if Markel Bell is the biggest player in the class, but like he's got to be a contender. 6'9", 348 pounds, 36.5-inch arms, 85 and 6/8 inch wingspan. Just mammoth of a man. You think Caden Proctor's big? He gets dwarfed by Markel Bell when Markel Bell walks in a room. And to no one's surprise, you would probably imagine the strength of Markel Bell is in fact his strength. Just such a powerful grip, plenty of power in his upper body. If he gets his hands on you, you're done. You're out of the play. The issues, you could probably guess what they are. His height, 6'9", puts him always just at an inherent disadvantage against bendy speed rushers. If he were to go against like a Cassius Howell, he probably gets eaten alive. Doesn't have the flexibility that you want. Not, and somebody too that like you would kind of hope he would set a little more consistent of an anchor as a pass protector. Like he has the strength, he just doesn't have the technique or footwork. He's not somebody that's going to be on the move, getting out in space consistently and being able to finish consistently in space. This is a clear cut, you're betting on somebody like a Jeff Stoutland or, some amazing offensive line coach that just sees the size and the potential and the ceiling and just says, we have to get him in the room, and they get him in the room and could make something out of him. Potentially he kicks inside, just because of how big he is. And just how much his foot quickness is going to be an issue. But it's tough to pass again on a offensive tackle with 36-inch arms. Is just so tantalizing to have if you can make it work. So this is, day 3, bet on the traits, and bet that you have a good enough offensive line coaching staff to make something out of it. Because the ball of clay that you're getting from him is just absurd.
Okay, Chris, what did you think of Markel Bell from Miami?
2 words: Baby Huey. And for the younger kids who don't know what that means, Jim knows. He's that character where you look and it's like, oh my God, he's just a very large man who it doesn't look coordinated enough, but it gets a job done. And look, I don't mean to make fun of him. He is. When he can square people up, he can just move them because he's that big of a guy. As we mentioned, 6'9", 340. They're saying 36-inch, arms. He's good. He has good movement going side to side, and he can overwhelm people. Like it's literally, if you are a physical defensive end, you're gonna have trouble. He for what his experience. Remember, he's raw. He's had 2 years of college JUCO ball. Now this has been his only going to his second year of real college football. He's pretty good in terms of using his hands and his length. But if you're like Louisville caught him off guard because a lot of these guys were able to use a variety of pass rushes. Stunts gave him trouble. Speed gave him trouble. He's not a dominant run blocker in terms of like he's going to just quickly maul you out. He's just big. So as Anthony said, you'll get probably an offensive line coach like Mike Devlin from the Los Angeles Chargers. Probably looking at this guy and go, we can draft him, stash him. I can have him sit and learn from Joe Alt and from Rashawn Slater, and we can develop him, and he will be a monster. But you're going to have patience with him. So, yeah, round 6, round 7. But again, the right offensive line coach, like guys from the Ravens, Chiefs, especially the Eagles, they'll look and go, give us a couple years. We just have him as like that fourth tackle, and if we unlock the secrets, oh man, this guy is going to be Jordan Mailata 2.0.
Got it. And I'm going to make a statement. I've asked the question on the previous 2, but you both have confirmed he checks all of the measurable boxes for a tackle. But I also heard a day 3 tackle from both of you, right?
Right. He's just too raw.
Got it. Okay. Next player, Sam Hecht from Kansas State. Chris, what did you see?
He's I'm trying to put this in a nice way. He's a good little center. And when I mean that, like he is good lateral agility. He understands the plays. I think he has, because he plays for Kansas, we said Kansas State, and it's Avery Johnson. It's just, at times it's, he has to be, go with the flow, where I don't know who my quarterback is because my quarterback loves to scramble. He's an excellent pass blocker, but he's small for a center. And we're going to hear about it a lot. Like they list him as around 6'3", 305. I'm guessing he's probably around the 290s. The Iowa State game, he got pushed back a lot because he took on Dominique Orange. Like, he will have trouble with bigger defensive tackles, nose tackles. And he's not that because he doesn't have a strength, because he doesn't have a size, that's going to catch up to him. He's good, not great. I could see him being undrafted free agent just because there's going to be at least 7 or 8 centers ahead of him in this draft, and not many teams are going to need a center. So he's going to be that guy that will make a team because he's good enough. He'll be probably as a 7th round undrafted free agent.
Anthony, what did you see from Sam Hecht at Kansas State?
Yeah, I actually think I like Hecht a little more than maybe Chris does. I don't disagree. Like, he's a verified 6'4", 297. So he is sub 300 pounds, and he looks sub 300 pounds. I think he is one of the most fluid just movers in terms of center prospects that you're going to see. Both as a pass protector, able to mirror well, I think. He's not going to get caught out, flat-footed. He's going to keep his legs moving and be able to stay in front of guys. Also, as a run blocker, I think he's one of the best actually in terms of like getting out in space and being able to pull off seal blocks and being able to get out in space and then square his feet and still being able to move outside defenders in the run game. I like what he brings to the table in that regard. Yeah, when he was put in a phone booth, so to speak, to play against Dominique Orange, he was certainly overmatched, certainly overpowered. I also think the shorter arms that Hecht has was a factor in that, in addition to just his lacking, physical presence and size. I think if you're a, Houston, Arizona, one of these teams that is a downhill, gap heavy, run team, yeah, you probably don't put Hecht high on your board. I think the other issue, and we're going to talk about another one of the guys that kind of will fit this description, but there's a few centers in this class that are athletic, nimble movers that are undersized. So they're kind of just going to, I don't want to say cancel each other out necessarily, but like there's going to be more supply than there is demand for undersized centers. So that's, that probably also works against Hecht. But yeah, I think if you are a outside zone heavy run team, a Miami, for example, I think he absolutely has some value for your team. I wouldn't necessarily maybe say top 100, because again, I think there is this premium on undersized athletic centers that there doesn't need to be. But if like a Miami took him early day 3 and said, all right, we're going to plan on you being the starting center, I think that would make sense. So there's some good stuff with Hecht, but I think he is very, scheme dependent, and a team is going to need to be willing to accept that, he's just not going to move people in the run game from at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, and is the only NFL position for Sam Hecht center, or could you project him to guard, Chris?
No, he's not big enough for guard, especially now what most teams like in guard. Like the average guard now is about 6'5", 325, 335, and that's not Sam Hecht.
Got it. Anthony, center only. He's not going to play the other positions, you don't think?
Yeah, I agree with Chris. He's just not big enough. If he decided that he wanted to put on 15, 20 pounds and try to go that route, like, he's 6'4", so like he could potentially have the frame to do that. But you're kind of risking losing what makes him, I think, a good player. And also, like, again, he's got those shorter arms already. So, if you're going to rely on him putting on weight and not losing his athleticism, but also still dealing with shorter arms as an interior blocker, it's too much. So, yeah, no, best path is, again, like, stay at center, get an outside zone heavy scheme, and, win with speed and athleticism.
Okay. So now we have DJ Campbell from Texas, and I know that Owen and Newt covered Campbell last year, and then he chose to return to school. Anthony, what did you see for DJ Campbell this year, and do you think it was a good move for him to go back to school relative to last year?
So I actually do think it was a good move for him to go back. He's had a really solid year. And I probably would have, I probably would have told him last year, like, go back, because I don't think he was going anything more than day 3 if he was in the draft last year. So, I think it was a relatively easy decision. But he's 6'3", 320. Now a senior at Texas, plays right guard for them. I think he is, as a blocker, this is a strong and stout individual. He has good arm length for an interior player. I love how he's able to finish when he has his hands on guys. He is somebody that is a true, like, he can deliver the pancakes. He can get people on the ground. He has that, he has that pop in his hands, and he has that strength to finish, which you like to see. I think one of the things he's done a good job at getting better at is his move, or his blocking on the move. I think his pulls look better this year than they did last year, and I think he's able to, when he's on the move at a better rate. I still wouldn't say it's like a strength of his. I still think he gets caught, lunging and leaning as a blocker. That's an issue for him. But he's put together, again, a really good year. Particularly when we've seen the struggles of the offense as a whole. I wouldn't attribute them so much to Campbell. And we've seen the struggles on the offensive line, but I actually think Campbell's been, not the worst part of it. So I still have questions about, again, like the consistency of his foot speed, his natural flexibility, isn't, I don't think is ideal. But there's some good, he's a good run blocker, and he's getting better as a pass protector, to where like I probably still say day 3, but like I could be more enticed by like an early day 3 selection as like a, bring him in and you hope in 2-3 years he's a good enough starting guard for you in the NFL.
And Chris, what do you have on DJ Campbell, the guard from Texas?
Similar to what Anthony said, I want to say this though. He deserves credit in that his football acumen, and I talked to Ernest Silva about this, it's pretty damn impressive. He's the guy who IDs and picks up stunts and delayed blitzes. They've asked him to have to be the leader of this group. Texas lost almost everybody last year in their offensive line. So he's been the guy who has helped out a first-year starting center in Cole Hudson, a true sophomore right tackle, Brandon Baker. So they've asked him to be the leader. That's never easy when you're the lone guy returning and you remember, oh, yeah, well, last year, at all these guys I can count on now, I got to be the senior citizen of this group. But you look at the run tape, and he is a mauler. He is constantly, driving defenders off their spot. He's a mammoth guy. He has started every game without injury since his sophomore season. He's still, as Anthony said, he's still heavy-footed. You're wondering if he's going to be enough, quick enough to handle, speedy guys, get to the poles and traps, especially the NFL level. But he's answered a lot. I think he'll go a little bit higher because teams are going to look and go, well, he took on added, responsibility in Texas. He's smarter than a lot of other guards who are coming up because he's had to learn, identifying blitz packages, stunts, and everything, which that's usually the center's job. But this Texas case, because he's the only guy with starting experience, he's done a lot of that. I think he'll probably be, to me, around that 3rd, 4th round because it's Texas. There's a lot of tape. He's taken on the best of the best. And teams are going to look and go, well, we have more faith that he'll be able to pick up stuff rather than a guy who maybe doesn't have, that championship experience, veteran experience to pick up calls and learn, all right, where's the linebacker coming from? Where's the blitz coming from? Where's this guy going to be, stunting and gapping from?
Okay. I think I heard pretty much the same thing from both of you on DJ Campbell. Another favorite from last year, Owen was really disappointed when Armaj Reed Adams went back to school. He really wanted him in last year's draft class. But Chris, what did you see from Armaj Reed Adams from Texas A&M?
He's gotten better. Look, right now he was named midseason Sporting News All-American. We talked about it. He is every offensive line coach's wet dream. Just a mean, huge, large man who loves to hit wham blocks, who loves to get pancake blocks. He just wants to maul you. Earnest Silva basically said he is the best offensive lineman on the best offensive line in college football, Texas A&M. He is fat. When he gets going, it's like a locomotive train. You're not going to stop him. And he came in, we were worried about, okay, he's going to have fatigue during longer drives. Will his, pass blocking improve? It has. There's still questions in terms of will the weight affect him? Will he be one of these guys that gets, slower as the game gets longer because he's just a large man carrying all of this? Redirecting some against counters can be problematic. I'll guarantee you this. I would not be surprised if he gets into the low first round. He's just because again, he is what offensive line coaches dream about. Big, mean, angry. He has played some offensive tackle, but he's a guard. He's just incredibly athletic and powerful for his size. Like that, he is to me. I have him as a second round grade, but I'm telling you, if he goes first round to a team like Patriots, Ravens, I would not be shocked because they're going to look at this guy and go, "Oh my God, this is what we want. We have been waiting for you. You are just somebody who's going to run over people. Enjoy it." I mean, I can already imagine Mike Vrabel invite him over to the home and go, "I want you to just hurt everybody who comes near you. I don't care. Just run them over. You can even be a little bit more nasty. I will pay the fines." Where have you been, Armaj Reed Adams?
So, Anthony, is he the Jets' second round pick?
No, well, I mean, maybe, but I wouldn't. So here's all right. I guess I'm gonna be the bad guy for Amaj. So here we go. If we judge players based solely on their like best moments, and we stacked up every player's best moments, and we did a mock draft, and we did the draft and whatever. Yeah, Armaj Reed probably is a first rounder. Because there's moments where for a guy who's 6'5", 340 pounds, the way that he can move at that size and the way that he can just absolutely be a wrecking ball as a blocker, both just straight up, in a phone booth against guys, and also just, again, for being 340 pounds and the way he's able to move and get in space and just completely wipe guys out. His best moments are, they're first round caliber guard moments. The problem is there's a lot of moments where he just looks, it's rough. I think his hand placement, play to play, snap to snap is just bad. It's really bad. The Notre Dame game, he just completely gave up his chest like multiple times against their pass rush, and just lost the leverage and lost his balance and could not mirror well enough. It's really, when Chris is right. When it's good, it's really good. But when it's bad, it's bad. He just needs, the consistency is just way too not consistent for me to like confidently take him as like a top 50 guy. If a team sees the best of him and makes that decision, I'm not going to sit here and be like stunned. I just think you're there's a lot of concerns. This year alone, he has 7 penalties in 2025. Last year, he had 11 penalties in 2024. He has 18 penalties in 1.5 years of playing as a starter. Like, that's not good. He needs to cut down. And again, I think it's because he loses his, he either doesn't land with his hands, he doesn't land with his punch, and he loses his chest. And he, even though he, in theory, has the strength and mass to be able to, recover and to move guys, like, he just doesn't, because his balance and his leverage is so out of whack. So then he's forced to, hold, forced to like grab onto guys, where you would have hoped that he would have just won the rep to begin with if he had just, started off a lot cleaner off the snap. So, like, Armaj is going to be very interesting, because he is just such a, another one of these just like freaks of nature. But unlike like what we talked about, like Markel Bell, like, I think you see the best, the first round caliber moments at a higher clip than you do like with Bell, or some of these other, like, just freakishly large men that we're talking about. And again, like, he has NFL athleticism for his size, but man, I would just be way too concerned with the bad parts of his tape to take him, within the first 2 days.
Okay, so for you, Anthony, Reed Adams is a day 3 offensive lineman.
At this point, based on his play, yeah, if his measurables and size and athleticism get him bumped up, I won't be surprised by that. But I'm really scared of of his bad stuff.
So the difference between Chris and Anthony didn't surprise me. So I know from, Reed Adams is like a legend within the Draft Professor group chat, because I think Sam Teat said that he had like 35 offensive linemen higher than Reed Adams over the summer. And then there's other people in the Draft Professor chat who had the same exact assessment as Chris, and that's he's going in round 1. How could you say that there's 35 offensive linemen better? Right. We've seen what just happened on the podcast. We've seen in the group chat.
If I can jump in quickly.
Yeah.
I get what Anthony and Sam Teat are saying. You want it to be more consistent. They're looking at the floor, which is, and again, as I said, he is a guy that some teams are going to look and go, crap. He might eat himself out of a league. His hand placement is good. He gets fatigued. Like you can tell it's like, God damn, you need better conditioning. But again, how many teams right now in the NFL are kicking themselves, going, God, we should have taken Trey Smith. Why were we an idiot? Why did we let the Chiefs get him in the 5th round? Oh, God damn, we were stupid. And that's what, I think is going to help our Reed Adams. He's Trey Smith. You get him in the right place. You get him disciplined. You maybe have him lose weight. Next thing you know, man, this is Mike Vrabel will probably just sit there and adopt him because he will run people over. He will, at his best, he is just dominant. So again, it's high ceiling versus low floor. If you like the high ceiling, he is your guy. Teams will fall in love because, Anthony, those 4 famous words, we can fix them.
Yeah. I also, to the Trey Smith point, I think the blood clots kind of scared teams off more than anything else. But I see the size, physical profile comps. But I just feel like there's more sure things at a position that doesn't usually get premium draft picks invested in it anyway. Like he's a guard. Like you're not taking him for tackle upside. So you're taking him as a starting guard, and it's just not a position that gets, top 50 picks at a high enough rate to where I think you justify how low his floor is. But again, will I be stunned that a team bets on the size and athleticism? No, it's the NFL.
Yep. So, Anthony, do you have DJ Campbell higher than Reed Adams?
They're pretty comparable. I think technically Armaj is higher, but like they're both like guys I would take on early day 3.
And then, Chris, you have Reed Adams significantly higher than DJ Campbell, right?
Yeah, I think he'll go low 2nd round, early 3rd round at the worst. Again, if the Patriots get a low pick, Mike Vrabel's going to look at this guy and go, yep, we're going to take him. This is my guy.
No. And that's the fun of doing this, is finding players that not everybody agrees on and being able to discuss them for about 6 or 7 minutes on a podcast. So we have 2 players left. Parker Brailsford, the center from Alabama, 6'2", 290. Is that what you have, Anthony?
Yeah, I've got 290. I think I have 290. So yeah, he's a small one.
And what did you think of Parker Brailsford?
Yeah, so look, Brailsford's kind of the opposite of Reed Adams in that from a tape and performance standpoint, I think his just straight up tape, if we didn't factor in size and measurables and all that, I think he's got really good tape. He wins with leverage and balance so well. And, even though, he's 290 pounds, but like he doesn't lose, he doesn't lose ground a lot by getting just like physically overpowered. He's able to, he stands up defenders, gets them uncomfortable to where like any strength advantage that I think they would have kind of gets neutralized. His anchor is solid for a guy who's 290 pounds. Out, on the move, he can get out in space and block. He blocks well on screen passes, and can get outside on run plays. He's 290 pounds, so he moves very well. It really just, again, with Armage, it's you bet on the traits, but you put aside maybe some bad tape. With Brailsford, it's you bet on the tape and you bet on the production, but you're putting aside the 6'2", 290 pounds, smaller frame, smaller arms. If he's, if somebody like T'Vondre Sweat, who's 350 pounds or whatever he weighs these days, like, is Parker Brailsford going to handle T'Vondre Sweat, 350-pounder, who could just control him in the run game, or any of these other like bigger defensive, these bigger three techs that can still, win as pass rushers? Like that's your concern. I would be willing to bet on him because, if he was 6'2", 290 pounds and he was playing at, UTSA and was playing like this, but not necessarily going against top interior defensive linemen in the country, I would say no, he's probably a UDFA. But the fact he's held up at Alabama against SEC defensive linemen, like at a relatively successful rate, I'm more inclined to think he actually could just be a good football player. I think he'll always have a ceiling, but I would take Parker Brailsford with a top 100 pick. Like I would be willing to bet on the tape and just try to mitigate the size and strength discrepancies that he's just always going to have.
And I'm hearing EJ Holt echoing in my head, don't argue with me, argue with the tape.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Chris, what did you see with Parker Brailsford from Alabama?
He's a first round in terms of technique, intelligence, I'd say skill, and athletic ability. He's a 6th round grade in terms of his body, in terms of size. That's how you can put it. I mean, look, when I watch the tape, I give him a lot of credit because we talk about Tyler Simpson being a 1st round draft pick as a quarterback, possibly. That's Parker Brailsford. He's the one who is, had to identify the blitz packages, defensive front schemes, pre-snap, make the adjustments. This is a guy who converted from guard to center. He followed Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. Look, he's on the Bruce Feldman freak list. He's a mid-season Sporting News All-American. He vertically jumped 33 inches, broad jump 9.9 and a half. He bench pressed 505 pounds, power clean 385. Like, he is 90% body fat. In terms of what you want from a center, he is that. What will scare teams is he's 6'2", 290. He does have trouble sometimes struggling against pure, like, big power rushers when he takes them on. He hasn't had to take a lot of them on. And because he's so good with his he maintains low center of gravity, he has impressive technique. He can get away with that in college. We'll see in the pros. Like, here's how I'll put it best. There will be some teams that look at him and probably go, 5th or 6th. Because they'll worry, well, what happens when he has to run up against Dexter Lawrence? What happens when he has to run up against Montez Sweat or or so another guy off the top of my head, like
Chris Jones,
even Chris Jones, or even guys over in
the
bigger.
bigger defensive
We talk about
tackles.
these
Yeah.
bigger, like Kenneth Grant. That'll give him trouble. But on the plus side, if you are from the Shanahan offensive tree, you're gonna love this guy. He can call the plays. He's the one who can identify the packages. He can take off the mental struggles of a quarterback because he can read everything. So I could see him go as low as fifth. I could see him go as high as second because a team like the Denver Broncos right now, where Sean Payton, has that kind of very complex offensive system, can look at him and go, all right, you can help me with Bo Nix, or especially Kyle Shanahan will look and go, whoever I have, Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, you can help out. Just take off some of their plate. Take it off. So, again, I love him. I personally, if it was just if he was 2 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier, he's a top 15 pick. I think he'll go probably third round vote because some teams will just look and go, it's center, 6'2", 290. What happens when, he's meeting the creme de la crop?
Okay. So this is the second year that the podcast has covered Brailsford. We had a really similar grade on him. When I say we, so it would be like myself, Owen Newt covered him last year. And the grade comes back almost identical. The last player we're going to talk about is Lance Hurd, the offensive tackle from Tennessee. Chris, what did you see from Lance Hurd?
He has everything you want as the tackle. He has elite length. He has 36-inch arms. He's massive size, 6'6", 330. When he's on, he is everybody. You love him as a aggressive, mean, mauling run blocking left tackle. And in games where he's done great, hey, he is in his groove. He's just mauling people, leading the charge. He's not bad at pass blocking. He's, when he's confident, he's pretty good. It's Jekyll and Hyde. There's some games he looks great. Then there's a game like the Alabama game, he struggled a bit, and you could see it was like, okay, still he's too inconsistent. He needs to refine his pass technique. He's a little bit slow recognizing stunts and switches. Plays a little bit too high. I mean, there's too many dings. Like, I think he has first-round talent, but it still needs time to develop. He's probably third or fourth because your team's looking going, well, he's hit or miss. I don't think he's coming to the draft. I think he will come back for an extra year. He's only a junior. He'll get paid enough where he can stay in college, and if people around him are smart, they'll go, hey, look, you come out next year and you just clean up your tape and you will be a top 15 pick because you have that talent. Talent alone, he has that. It's just and right now, outside of Alabama, he hasn't had a lot of tough opponents he's had to face yet. I mean, Tennessee's played Syracuse, Georgia, UAB, Mississippi State, East Tennessee, Arkansas. Nobody really tough outside of Alabama in terms of pass rushers. We'll see how he does against Oklahoma, against Vandy, against Florida. If they get to the playoffs, he'll take on a tougher pass rush guy. But to me, if he comes out this year, third or fourth, if he comes out next year, first-round pick, no question about it.
Anthony, what do you think about Lance Hurd from Tennessee?
Yeah, so I think where I agree with Chris is I do think he may be best served to stay in school and come back one more year. I guess he's sort of my Armaj Reed Adams, where he's somebody I would bet on the flashes that you've seen, and 6'6", 330 pounds, the nearly 36-inch arms, like checks every box from a physical standpoint that you would possibly ever want in a left tackle. If there was an award for for most improved college player, or at least most improved college offensive lineman, he's probably the pick, or at least a contender, because last season, he's a UDFA at best. Like he was a complete mess and looked nothing. I mean, this is somebody who's I should say, like, former 5-star, very highly touted recruit. So it's no surprise that he's playing a lot better. But I think a lot of people were kind of just disappointed in him last season, and you kind of had higher hopes for him at that point. But now he's starting to play like the player that I think was that highly touted recruit that people were so enamored with. I think he's gotten a lot better when it comes to finishing in space and finishing on the move. He's a 330-pound guy, so he's not going to be the athletic dynamo that you would expect from guys like we talked about, like Corey Robinson and that kind of player. But I think he's gotten a lot better at finishing in space and being able to land in space. His initial punch will shock players, will knock them back for a moment. He has a lot of power in his hands, a lot of grip strength when he's able to get a hold on guys. He finishes through blockers. A lot of these guys that are bigger, these 330, 340 pound, 6'6", 6'7" blockers that we talk about, like, they kind of just they'll stand in one spot and they'll rely on just I'm bigger and stronger, so I don't need to drive through you as a pass blocker. I can kind of just let you try to get past me and you just can't. Like, he'll get his hands on you, jolt you, and then push you backward so that you're not getting anywhere near the quarterback. And he does that in the run game too. I would be willing, if he declares, I would be willing at this point to bet a top 50 pick on him. Now, also to Chris's point, I don't think he's played the best pass rushers in the SEC yet. Even like Georgia's been very disappointing pass rush wise. I think he did well against Quincy Rhodes at Arkansas. So that's something, but yeah, they've still got some very good edge rushers on the schedule. So we'll see how he does. But if he stays in school, there's definitely a first round caliber ceiling that he could hit.
Okay, well, that was all the offensive linemen that we had to cover today. Chris, do you want to let everybody know who you are, talk about your Last Call podcast and everything else?
Yeah, you can check me out at lastcallpodcast.com. Also on YouTube. I am on Rumble. You can check me out also. You can follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, LinkedIn. This week we're going to be definitely getting Benino Brown back, as we'll talk about now the final sort of push into college football playoffs, what to expect, give an update on who Penn State should target. Plus, we'll also have, once again, Marcel Dorff talk about this right now today, or actually today's UFC 321, Gagne versus Aspinall. And always love being on the show, talking football and even learning stuff with you, Jim, and also with the rest of the draft professors, including Anthony.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. You are the utility infielder of draft professors. If we need a podcaster, it doesn't matter if it's a weeknight, doesn't matter if it's a weekend. Chris, I absolutely love that when I say, okay, we're down a podcaster, you're like the first one always to say, yeah, I can do it. I absolutely love it. So appreciate you coming on. Anthony, do you want to let everybody know about all of your content?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Anthony_Russo97. I've got my Substack, also at Anthony Russo 97. I just posted. I posted 2 articles this week because I fell behind and didn't want to disappoint the people. So I just put out my 11 college position coaches that are potential or potential head coaches down the road. So you can check that out. And I've been on Chris's show a couple times. So definitely check that out as well, and feel free to listen to my appearances. And I'll be on, as long as technology cooperates, I will be on Draft Professor podcasts Friday nights and Saturday mornings for the foreseeable future. I think we're getting to linebackers, not next week, but the week after on Friday nights. So that's going to be good. And there's still plenty of offensive linemen to talk about. So lots of good stuff coming up.
Yes. Well, speaking of that segue, so yeah, we're going to be here for the next many weeks covering offensive linemen. Here are the offensive linemen we're going to talk about next Saturday. Isaiah World from Oregon, Francis Maui Noah from Miami, Josh Kreutz from Illinois, Giovanni El Hadi from Michigan, Inez Cooper from Miami, Jake Slaughter from Florida, Fa'ali Fa'amo from Wake Forest, Carter Smith from Indiana, and Nikki Prangos from Stanford. So those will be the linemen that we talk about next week on this podcast. But every week, Draft Professor has podcasts at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern every weeknight. You can catch Chris specifically Mondays at 9 p.m. His podcast goes over defensive line. And we have I will throw it up. I'll throw the ad up here real quick. So the banner has all the different times, but 7 p.m., 9 p.m. Eastern every weeknight, 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Sunday mornings. And every podcast is taking 8 players at a specific position group and having 3 of us discuss the players. Are they draftable? Where are they on the board? Do we see their strengths and weaknesses the same? And we're just kind of prepping for the upcoming draft cycle. So for the 105 podcasters at the Draft Professor, for Anthony, Chris, myself, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your Saturday of college football, and we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow morning.